I'm going to show them off. You like it. So, I'm not going to be doing this in 2 parts. I was thinking about it, but that wouldn't really be too much fun. So instead of divided it between games that are... They're PlayStation 1 games, but they're not games I necessarily keep. I'm actually thinking about getting rid of the majority of them. Just like fire selling them off for like a couple bucks a piece, if not like $1 each. Only because I don't see myself playing with them or they're extras. So, with all that being said, let's get through these because I don't even remember what most of them are. Madden 2003, because why not? I'm actually a huge fan of the Madden series. I really like sports games. They offer up a much needed variety in gameplay. And I'm a competitive person. I like to play football, although lately I really should lose more weight. I'd like to be able to play a little bit more hardcore. But usually when I do play, it's usually two-hand toss. The last time I played tackle football, I got my knee messed up really, really bad. And at the time I didn't have health care. And it was during a really awkward time period where if you didn't have health care, a lot of doctors wouldn't even look to see what's wrong if it was an emergency. So I basically spent 3 weeks afterwards with a limp because my knee was really banged up. So that issue hopefully healed itself, but yeah, I've had knee problems forever. But anyway, Madden, awesome game. Into a segue you probably didn't care about. Did someone? Okay. Test Drive 5, not overly familiar with this series, but I do like racing games. I think it was like the precursor to the Need for Speed series. So, NFL Extreme 2. If it's not Blitz, I don't really care. I think I got that in a lot, and it's busted. NFL Game Tape 2001. The game day games weren't actually that bad. They're not Madden, but they're not bad. 2 copies of Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace. Not the greatest Star Wars game. But Battle for Terra Kasai, the fighter for PS1, that game is horrid. That game is terrible. This game I'm actually thinking about sending to my boy Nathan in the UK and see if he'll sign it and send it back to me. And I have a PAL version of Tomb Raider 2. And I got this when I was in London about 5 years ago. I got this in London. I was there during the Olympics. I was doing some charity work, and I happened to stop into a small little shop, and it was in there, and I bought it for £1, and I figured, why not? WWF Warzone. Did not like this game. I'm one of those people that really didn't like wrestling games unless it was like the SmackDown series. I can't think of anything else that was arguably better. Maybe Thunder, I'm not sure. Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. WCW Mayhem. I didn't like this. Moto Racer. ESPN Extreme Games. And of course it's in a SmackDown 2 case because I'm ghetto. Vigilante 8. Fun little game, but I was more of a fan of Twisted Metal. This last small stack. I think between the 2 piles, it's going to be around 80 games. A lot of this stuff I've already gotten rid of and liquidated. I'm only really collecting games I know I'm going to play, which kind of makes it a little more interesting and a lot more exciting when I find stuff out in the wild I like. Sledstorm, Battle Stations, which is actually not bad. It's kind of like Battleship the game, except it's the best way I can describe it. The Battleship part of the game, Battleship, that was based after the really bad movie years ago. Imagine if they made a game solely on that, and they made it strategic. That's kind of what that is. PlayStation Interactive CD, the sampler, has in Parappa the Rapper, Armored Core, and a couple others. I have it strictly for Parappa Rapper demo. The Network Adapter Startup Disc, the 2.0 edition. I actually do like collecting these because if you can find them new, they're actually worth a little bit of penny online. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Probably the better version. SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge. A really beat the hell copy of Hercules. This is actually one of my favorite Disney-based games on the PlayStation. There's another I'm not a fan of. ATV Quad Power Racing. I played a lot of that game. It's okay. I think the ATV series is much better. ESPN snowboard games, or digital games, sorry. Not a fan. Formula 1, it's alright. Mediocre racing game. Ace Combat 3, amazing, amazing fighter pilot game. Madden 2001. NBA Live 2000. Tom Clancy Rainbow Six. And VIP starring Pamela Anderson, a really piss poor on rails type shooter game. It mixes up on rails. So had some minor camera issue. The last one was VIP by Pamela Anderson. It's like a combination. I'm not gonna say fighting game because it literally tells you all the buttons to press to fight people, and then if you're not doing those, you're pointing the crosshairs at the screen to just shoot people. Yeah, the game's really stupid. So now we're getting into the stuff that sits in my main collection. I only have one long box game, and it's a copy of Warhawk. Not the greatest looking game, so that's a good way to start it off, by trashing a game, right? Anyway, moving on. DDR Revolution Conomics. Not the greatest version of DDR. I'm a fan of DDR-based games. That not being one I liked as much. Got a copy of Siphon Filter 2. Gran Turismo 2, which is probably my favorite, if not the third game. The fourth game I really didn't get into. Let's see. Copy of N2O Nitrous Oxide, a very awesome kind of like Tempest type game with really good techno. Actually, you can play that CD in a CD player, and you can listen to music on there. I actually recommend that if you're just wanting to have like some nice chill music. One of my favorite RPGs ever, and I'm actually going through it right now, and that is Wild Arms. Amazing. I'm having a lot of fun with this. Very straightforward. Very right to the point. A Disney game I'm not a fan of, and it's part of the Games for Month club, and I don't know if I'm going to finish it only because I don't really feel like it's worth it, in my opinion, and that is Tarzan. The controls are wonky. The attack button is very flimsy and very stalled. I'm not a fan. Crash Bandicoot 2, probably my favorite Crash Bandicoot. An extremely underrated RPG from Square Enix, and I would say easily a ton of fun. Final Fantasy IX. I don't know why people hate on this game so much. I feel like once we all played 7 and got to know those characters, it just feels like people like to hate on them because it's the cool thing to do. And the same thing with 8 when we get to it. Dino Crisis 3. This comes with the Resident Evil Nemesis demo. Dino Crisis, pretty okay game. Time Crisis by Namco. I really like these games. I don't have the light gun for this. The PS2 version, a little bit better. First Siphon Filter. 007 Tomorrow Never Dies. Not that good of a 007 game. Stick to the PlayStation 2 games for good 007 games. And I'll even say that the one on N64 is a tad overrated. But it's still fun. Cool Borders 2. I actually really enjoy the Cool Borders series. I think the only other snowboarding series I like as much would probably be like the SSX games. Maybe Snowboard Kids for N64, and the minigame in Final Fantasy VII. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 on the original PlayStation. This is the only variation of 3 I have not played. I'm actually playing the one for PS2 right now, just for something fun, and it's a lot of fun. Tomb Raider 3, Need for Speed V Rally, More of like an off-roadish type Need for Speed. Nothing like what we have now. Twisted Metal 3, I think one of the better ones we've had. When it jumped to the newer generation, I think it got really good. But, you know, at that point, it kind of overstayed its welcome. Driver, awesome game, extremely bland. Can't believe I'm going to say this, but I almost recommend sticking to Grand Theft Auto if you want more of that same style, just with a little more substance. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, amazing, fun little game, tons of little secrets, and if you love Harry Potter, I recommend you check that out. The first Silent Hill game, I got this over a year ago, and it was totally worth the buy. It came with a lot of 50-plus games, and the lot cost $50. That game alone is worth between $30 and $40. Another amazing RPG, extremely underrated, and that is Chrono Cross. I really need to get back into that one. I always play that game for 5 minutes and then stop. Another amazing underrated RPG, and that is Legend of Dragoon. I can probably say I've beaten this game, and I would love it if they did like a Sony... If Sony did like a little revamp like we did with the Final Fantasy VII. Like, make a PC port and then bring it to the PlayStation Store very much. Just very, very much. Save that for a little bit later. Save that for later. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. Getting the stack's getting pretty big. Parasite Eve. This one does have the demo inside, which was super awesome because from what I hear, copies with the playable demo are really hard to come by. Gauntlet Legends, awesome 4-player co-op game. I recommend getting I do recommend getting friends, and I also recommend playing the N64 version. Although I have not fully played that version, so don't hold me to it. Spider-Man on the original PlayStation. Second one's better. Looks like I have another copy of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, so if anyone's looking for a copy. A loose copy of Digimon Rumble Arena. Copy of 1. Army Men Sarge's Heroes. These are a lot of fun. I almost think the N64 versions are the best. Blaster Master Blasting Again. A very underwhelming entry to the Blaster Master series. Monopoly for PlayStation. Not bad, but I actually think the Sega Genesis is a much nicer copy. it just plays smoother. Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation, the sidestep to the original trilogy on the PlayStation. I actually heard it was okay. Family Feud, I love these types of games. You get friends together and play this, and you're gonna have a blast because everyone is gonna try their hardest to get these, and especially with the older ones, like the questions are really dated. Tomb Raider 2. The original Metal Gear Solid, amazing game. I still have to finish it. The game I probably spent the most time on as a kid when I was in middle school and up until high school, and that is the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I had to have put in hundreds of hours on this. Yeah, I think I've almost completely 100% this game. There's nothing left for me to do. Between playing local co-op with my buddies, playing game like Horse, high score battles, and oh my god, playing the demo before even the full game came out. Like the demo that was released at Pizza Hut when Pizza Hut had the PlayStation demos. The demo played the very first warehouse level, and you had the option to replay the same level over and over again, and that's what we used to do because that game had not come out yet. But I remember that was the first game I got for PlayStation, and I played. I think that's like my 4th copy. I've played it so many times. Bust-A-Move 99. I freaking love the Bust-A-Move series. Awesome puzzle game. Ready to Rumble Boxing. Amazing, fun little boxing game. N64 version is better. Let's see. Hot Shots Golf. Fun little golf game. They do get a lot better. The original SmackDown, I've put, again, probably almost 100 hours into that game. I think when we started story mode in that, it was the year it came out, so the year 2000, and by the time we were done, we were like in like the year 2050. Tekken 3, my favorite Tekken of them all. Tekken 2 was still pretty good, but not as good. Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, The Hidden Empire. It's the custom PlayStation edition. Not overly familiar with that, but I do like me some Star Wars games. One of my favorite RPGs of all time, Wild Arms 2. This is also an amazing game. I think I've beaten this. I have to go back and replay it, but this made what was good about the first Wild Arms even better. Final Fantasy Tactics, an amazing, I was gonna say real time, an extreme, and oh my god, the genre is not hitting me. Yeah, basically turn-based RPG, much like Disgaea. Amazing game. I cannot recommend it enough. And if you watch Pro Jared, he will signify how amazing this is. Final Fantasy Origins. This has Final Fantasy 1 and 2. Must have. First Final Fantasy is amazing. Second one I haven't played yet. Final Fantasy Anthology. This has Final Fantasy 5 and 6. And as a matter of fact, hold on one second. Can't believe I left this over there. Final Fantasy Chronicles. This is Final Fantasy 4 and Chrono Trigger. Good bundle. Haven't played 4 yet. As far as Chrono Trigger goes, amazing game. The time in between the battles and the cutscenes is terrible on this version. Stick to the Virtual Console version or the Super Nintendo version. And then we get to Final Fantasy VIII, which I feel is one of the most unappreciated and underrated Final Fantasies of all time. This is a wonderful game, a fantastic game, and people hated it for the dumbest reasons. They hated it because you had to draw certain elements and powers out of characters and summons in order to obtain certain things. And in my opinion, it just made the game a lot more interesting. Yes, the story is extremely convoluted. Yes, it gets extremely confusing. And yes, the villains feel like they're constantly swapping sides, but that's what makes it worth it. And then to end the video, one of my favorite games of all time, Final Fantasy VII, and I desperately need to get a new copy, but I'm going to keep out this main cover because right here, this little black smudge, this copy was signed by James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, when he came to RetroCon a couple years ago. So I'm going to be holding on to that. So that's going to do it for this video. I do apologize for the mid-cut-off camera work. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. So, depending on when this video comes out, which should be after the PlayStation 3 collection video, all that's left is PS2 games, and that'll probably be sometime in the near future. So, stay tuned. Make sure to pass the memo along to your friends. Get them to come by, watch the videos. Hit that subscribe button if they haven't already. And you know the rest. I'll see you later.